just so that we can make sure that it's streaming live everywhere. But welcome. It is so good to have you as my first guest.
I'm thrilled and honoured and blessed. Thank you very much.
My absolute pleasure. Okay, so we're going to assume that there are 4 people in the world that don't know about you, because I'm sure the other 7.5 billion do. But what is the name of your business?
My company is called Stay Tuned, but I've got 3 brands: Kate Toon, which is me, The Recipe for SEO Success, and the Clever Copywriting School.
Right. And so why did you set them up? What's the reasoning behind them? Tell me a little bit of a story.
Well, I mean, I was a service-based business and, exchanging my time for money, which was all very well and good, and I was doing okay, but I really wanted to try and come up with some, ways to make money while you sleep,
So that elusive passive income doesn't really, really happen.
Yes, well, I may be writing my next book about that. But so I set up courses and memberships and shops and all the paraphernalia with the overarching goal, I think, of helping demystify digital marketing. I've been in digital marketing for a very long time and it all makes sense to me, but I realize to a lot of people it's absolute gobbledygook.
Absolutely.
So I see myself as a bit of a translator and a bit of a masseuse, a digital masseuse. So, I take away the aches and pains of digital marketing.
So when you said you've been working in digital for a long time, how long is a long time? And what were you doing?
So I started out when I was, 24, 25 in events. And that was when websites were just invented. So creating events. The first website I built was for Marks and Spencer's. And it still is the same website they have today. Yeah.
Is that serious? Because that website is huge now.
Yeah, we actually built it on the BT intranet, which is like a mini internet back then in the day, 70,000 people on, and tested e-commerce. Like, should we have a cart icon or a shopping trolley? All those basic things which we now take for granted. So yeah, I'm OG, old school, a very long time.
You're not really. Okay, so from that you then came to Australia and started. So what do you mean you were a service-based business? Were you just offering digital marketing to clients?
Yeah, so when I came to Australia, I worked in lots of advertising agencies. I was on the board for a few agencies. And then when I got pregnant, I set up as kind of an all-rounder. I did some terrible websites. I designed some hideous logos. But my real skill was writing. And then SEO writing to please the Google gods. And yeah, just exchanging time for money. I'll write your website, I'll write your emails, I'll write your blogs. You give me some money. That was my
Okay, so how does your business help people? Like, who are you helping and what are you actually doing with? So you've got, sorry, I think you also just went Digital Marketing Collective. You said you had 3 brands, Kate Toon, and we didn't get to the third one.
Yeah, Recipe for SEO Success and Clever Copywriting School. So I can see Nikki Filia is watching.
Good morning, Nikki.
We love Nikki. I'm not wearing my bee bangle right now, but so she's a great example of someone who's in my membership. And when she first met, she's like, I don't get it. There's so many things. How do I get on the Toon train? But I guess, my market is quite broad. It's anybody. I was going to say with a pulse or a credit card, but I'm joking. It's anybody.
That's my market too. That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's a funny crossover. Like it's people who want to use digital marketing to build a successful business. I tend to attract more women than men, more neurospicy people than non-neurospicy, people who take their business seriously but don't take themselves too seriously. So that would be my demographic.
Right. And how are you actually helping them then? What are you actually doing? What are these different brands doing?
Well, a lot of it is about education, but a lot of it these days is more about community, providing a safe space where you can whinge and get ideas and get tips. Obviously, coaching, giving people guidance and direction without being too didactic and saying, do it this way or you'll fail. It's light touch. My favorite model is group coaching. I don't as much like one-to-one, and creating little gangs of humans that all support each other and help each other and share seems to be my superpower.
Yeah. And I would say for anyone who's listening on any of these platforms, go and follow Kate, because you've just got such a beautiful way of writing that is very real. And I think, that's why I like you anyway. So in terms of people that might be watching, what are your products and services specifically? Like, what do they do? How can they, come and work with you?
So I've got a couple of free groups. One of them is called the Misfit Entrepreneur. So that's like where people can kind of enter. And then I've got the whole funnel. You've got your mini courses, your tripwires, your lead magnets, all of which ultimately lead to the Digital Marketing Collective, which is my core membership. I do little events. You came to my conference recently.
It wasn't little, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I keep saying to people, I went there kind of with a bit of an eye roll, kind of, you're going to cover PR, you're covering digital marketing. I don't need to know about that. You're going to be covering LinkedIn. I know about that. And it took me about 20 minutes before I went, oh my friggin' God, I am learning so much. I have a whole notebook that I wrote just from your event. So
that's good.
We all kind of think that we know what we know. And when you see someone else's perspective, you go, oh my God. Like,
I know, you have these sort of light bulb moments, which I get from your content as well. Like, I think whenever you get to the point where you think you know everything, that's when you've got real trouble. We're always learning and perfecting, and sometimes it can be a bit exhausting. Me and you were getting on a bit, and you're a bit like, really? Do I have to learn?
I'm only 57. I got plenty more puff in me.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes it can feel a bit like, really? Do I have to learn a new platform? Do I have to learn how to use Restream today? God. But yeah, you do. And I have periods where that exhausts me and periods where it's super exciting as well. So,
and I think the fact that you tell people that you're exhausted is but that's what makes you so relatable too, that everybody kind of goes, oh my God, so she's like me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get exhausted too, but I probably don't talk about it as much as I should.
Well, I think you're pretty honest as well. And I think, you and I talk about the challenges of having businesses like this and getting people on board, and everyone wants everything for free. How do you move them from free to paid? It's challenging. And then obviously with your new group, the women's speaking group, we've been
Australian women speakers. Yes.
Yeah, we've been having some honest conversations there about what people charge and the behind the scenes of speaking, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be a speaker, and I'm like, do you really?
Yeah, or even better, they come and they go, look, I'm just going to do keynotes, so I'm looking for sort of the 8 to 10 grand.
Yeah.
And I kind of go, who gets that? Like the top 2% of people around the world.
I know. Tell them you're dreaming. I know. And then people will also put up posts saying, I really want to speak at an event. Can you help me? And it's like, if it was that easy, we'd all be booked out, like it's hard work. But yeah, I think honesty is a big important part of my brand. And in that group I was talking about a trip that I'm going to be taking to Estonia, which is
because you're speaking on the stage.
Yeah, so I'm speaking in Europe, which always sounds very sexy, doesn't it?
It does sound very sexy.
Yeah, and last year I spoke in the Netherlands, and a couple of years before New York, and it's all great. But reason I shared it was to show the reality that the speaker fee is not huge. They are paying me and they are giving me a lovely hotel, which is great, but it's going to cost me a lot. And I think this is what people don't understand. Unless you are a keynote, like someone like Kate Christie, who's fabulous, who can demand that level. If you're using speaking as a vehicle to drive leads to your business, there's a give and take.
That's right.
And you can sit there on your little thing going, I'm not doing it unless you give me $4,000. And it's like, great, well, we won't pick you then. We'll pick this person.
That's the reality. That's right. And I was talking about it with Louise Marler earlier this week, and she said, honey, people have to at least ask for their expenses. And I'm like, but I know, because I've asked for expenses, that people will go, we're really, really sorry, we just haven't got the budget for that, and move on to the next person. So if you want the gig, you might need to do it. And the more that you do, the more likely you are to eventually get to a stage where people will say, we will pay for you to come here and we'll pay for everything. But I mean, it depends whether you want your career to be speaking.
Well, this is it. And there's two different routes. And, I said professional speakers often get quite annoyed with us unprofessional speakers. Not that we're unprofessional, but that we are kind of undermining.
Amateurs.
Amateurs. I wouldn't even say with that. But the people who are using speaking as a vehicle rather than as a means, rather than the end, it's a means to an end. I think as well, expenses are a tax deduction. I think the argument is if you're paying for your AV and you're paying for your catering and you're paying for your venue, you can pay for your speakers. And that's true. That's absolutely true. But do not pretend that being on stage at an event doesn't have a much bigger advantage for me as a speaker than it does for the guy serving the vol au vents. I'm in front of an audience full of people. If one person buys my thing, I've made money. And I am a conference organizer, and I know that. And also, I think a lot of speakers think, well, I'm going to help sell tickets. My name will help sell tickets for your events. Right. People are turning up for me. And it's like, really, unless you're like Gary Vaynerchuk, no one's coming No one's that excited about seeing you. I'm sorry to disabuse you of your notion, but no one's that excited. Often people are picking conferences based on the topic, not the speaker. But if you are someone that you think can get bums on seats, you need to respect that and push for that. And also think about the cost to you and your business. You know, events, your adrenals go up, you're tired. A couple of days afterwards, you're like, ugh. You know, you miss work, you miss things that are earning you money. So there is a cost. But there is also a period where maybe you have to just, you know, shake your tartars for free for a little bit. And then after that, you can chat.
And we know that there's that positioning as well. Anyone who's up on a stage is a leader. Anyone, you know, you can build raving fans from speaking.
Yeah, you can.
And so it just feels good. Apart from anything else, you get off the stage and you go, oh my God, someone actually, you know,
I'm famous. People love me. Well, this is it. But I also think you can make speaker opportunities for yourself. I mean, why did I start a conference? It was because I wanted to be picking the basketball team rather than being picked, you know, and I wanted to create my own stage. But I think we also underestimate all the quiet stages, you know, having a podcast, stuff like this. It may not be as glamorous as going to some conference hall and standing in a nice frock. But, you know, your podcast, my recipe podcast, reaches about 6,000 or 7,000 listeners every episode.
I know, you're
I'm
amazing.
not going to get in front of that amount of people ever, even in an entire year. Obviously, the one-to-one of a stage is a different vibe, but don't underestimate the value of quiet stages, I think, as well.
No, and let's talk a little bit about your podcast, because you and I had a chat last year about it, and you were shocked because I don't have loads and loads of people listening to my podcast, even though I don't know whether it's my analytics, but I can go to my local chemist and people in the queue behind me can go, oh my God, are you that boss woman? But I really had very, very low, a very, very low amount of listeners. But I actually think podcasts do a whole lot of other things as well as the audience. It's about allowing you to promote yourself and what you care about every week without having to talk about yourself. It's about the people you can reach out to as guests. And that really starts to build your network of influence without you even kind of noticing it. So
yeah, it does. I mean, there's a sort of inner circle of people who have podcasts, and everyone's on each other's, right?
Yeah.
People often suggest a pod swap. So to kind of enter the arena, you have to have a podcast to get into the podcast arena. So definitely the connections. But again, you said you had low listenership. It wasn't that low. And I think people, you know, my SEO podcast has been going since 2016. You know, and I consistently, year after year, guest after guest, you know, years.
So when did it start tipping? At what stage did you start getting thousands of? I mean, how many years had you been doing it? Now that I've dropped mine after 3.
Well, the thing is,
I'll take it up again.
The important thing about my business is I don't really look at metrics like that. I look at the bottom line. So I wouldn't be able to tell you when it tipped. I didn't notice. I think I remember going in and someone said they wanted to sponsor it, and we went and pulled out the figures, and I was like, blooming heck, that's doing well. I'd not looked at it because I'm a big believer in just doing the do. Like if I stopped doing things because they weren't popular, half my business wouldn't exist. You know, you said, oh, you know, people might know who I am, but I've still only got like 10,000 followers on Instagram. Been doing Instagram for years. Instagram is clearly not my channel, you know, so I just turn up.
Whereas you've got almost the same number on LinkedIn already, and I think you only really jumped into it a year ago.
Well, I've been on it since the dawn of time. I've just not done anything, you know. So I think, you know, things grow where your energy flows and all that nonsense. But I think, you know, looking at metrics, they're all interesting, and look, 7 more people listened this week. But the really important metric is how much money are you making, and are you happy? You know, those are the 2 things. Am I enjoying my day? And have I got enough money to survive? And that's my metric. So I try not to look at those engagement metrics too much, because I would have some very bad days if I did. Because my other 2 podcasts do
God. Well, what are the 3 names of the podcast in case anyone wants to listen to it?
6 Figures in School Hours.
The new book.
Yes, I've got the recipe for SEO success, and I've got copy chats, which is for the.
So how often are you doing those then?
So I do 2 episodes per podcast per month.
Right. Okay. So that's still 6. So 6 interviews a month that you're tuning through.
No, so I do an interview and then a tip and then an interview and a tip. So the interviews are with a guest, and the tip is just me talking for 5 or 6 minutes. That's how I managed to produce them. But also I found that interviewing guests, and it was a great vehicle for them, but it wasn't a great vehicle for me because I want to show off
Right.
my expertise and how I'm a brilliant genius Wonder Woman. So the tips allow me to show that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not just Michael Parkinson interviewing randoms, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I have to say, one of the reasons why I decided that a live stream is totally up my alley is that I don't have to do the editing.
Yes.
Isn't that terrible? And I'm kind of, and of course I say, you know, somebody said to me, oh, you could turn it into a podcast. Absolutely. There'll be sound, there'll be video, I can do clips, but more importantly, to me anyway, it's going right into my heartland of the people that I know are following.
You're a TV presenter at the end of the day, and you know
I
you are.
love
You
it.
love it. But you know, again, like I don't edit my podcast. It is what it is. You know, I mean,
Right.
unless someone literally, you know, swears. Oh no, I wouldn't even edit it then. You know, someone invokes Satan or something like that. I might cut that out. But it is what it is. And I think that's been the way people are like, you produce so much content. You know, you're always see posts from you. I see those.
I get that all the time too.
But it's because I don't edit anything. I don't edit anything. It's the first draft. It comes out as it is. Everything's on brand because I am my brand, and I've you know come to terms with who I am. And I may not be, you know, the prettiest entrepreneur, the youngest entrepreneur, the coolest entrepreneur, but I am who I am, and I've embraced that, which means I can turn up. Look at me today, no makeup. I've washed my fringe, but it's a bit sketchy. No, you know, if I worried about all of that so much, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Well, that's right. And here we go. This is a nice little lesson for any women that might be listening. Like, don't worry about what you look like. Worry about what you've got between your ears and how you can share that with people. And if you focus on that, and I mean, my rule is I never watch I don't know whether you do, but I never watch or listen to anything I've done. So I don't stress over. I hate the sound of my voice sometimes, and I'm like, I don't have to listen to it. I'm not going to look at the video.
I'm the opposite. I do. I sometimes listen to a podcast. Yeah, and I'm like, God, I sound quite clever there. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I forced myself to, because again, like I like to get through my pain points. I used to be very nervous about speaking, and so I did 37 events in 1 year, and everything that could happen happened. I got heckled. I fell on stage at We Are Podcast and didn't landed on my face. Just fluff ups and stupid. Everything bad happened, and I got it out of my system. So yes, I'm used to looking at my little face on the screen and listening to my voice. I sound very northern and very shouty to myself. But again, it is what it is, you know.
Well, that's right, and we can't really change it. I know. When I had my little TV show on Ticker TV, and I was learning all about it. So this is really what grew this huge love for me of interviewing people. But my first couple of them, I had like a couple of questions. I'm not very good at planning ahead, so I give myself very basic questions, as you know. And anyway, I ran out of questions. I was speaking to this person who just wasn't giving back, and I ran out of questions, and I ended up on this TV show going, so is there anything you want to ask me?
It's terrible.
That's not normally how it works in an interview, but anyway.
I remember one of the, I started my SEO podcast simply because there was one person I really wanted to talk to, a guy that I love. It's called Rand Fishkin. He's just such a great entrepreneur, amazing human.
Did you do an interview with him recently?
Yeah. I've dragged him back about.
I followed.
He's a very, very cool dude, great ethics in business, and he was somebody that I followed to start my business, you know. Right. So you remember the people who were there when you started out. But then the next guest I had, who I won't mention, just clearly did not want to be on the show. He did the interview from bed and just gave one-word answers, and it was the most horrendous thing I've ever experienced.
It is horrendous.
Yeah, and I've learned from that now to be able to fill. And, you know, this is something we talk about, again, with speaking and PR and media training. Really, you know, what could you stand and talk about for a full hour with no interruptions? What could you talk about? You know, find those heartland topics, those cornerstone topics. And then, you know, I have talked about SEO so much that I could literally talk for 8 hours without stopping and not run out of material. And that only comes with time, repetition. The confidence comes with the experience. You know, I don't think you can zap yourself with confidence. It just comes over time, I think.
That is a really good point. And of course, I could talk about PR or women supporting women till the cows come home.
Exactly, yeah.
But I hadn't even thought, when I'm doing a live show like this, if I have a guest that doesn't turn up or is 10 minutes late, I better have something prepared.
Yeah, just do a tip or a piece of advice, you know, like, and I think as well, you know, a lot of people watching will be like, well, who am I to have a voice? Who wants to hear what I've got to say? It's all been said before. Yes, there are millions of other people talking about your topic, but I don't know them. I don't know who they are. I can think about 5 different PR people in Australia. That's it. There's probably 600, but
I'm
I
sure
only
there's
know
more.
about 5, right? And also, what you think is basic bitch stuff, other people have no idea. I use this example all the time, but I was talking to someone on my course, and all his logos were on his website, and they're all different sizes and some on backgrounds and whatever. And I said, you could just put those all in Canva and pull them out, and they would all look lovely. And he said, "What's Canva?" And I was like, how can someone not know what Canva is in this day and age? But why would he?
Yeah, that's right.
He was an architect. He doesn't know, no idea. We think these things are common knowledge because we talk to the same little group of people. It's
and
not
we're in our own little bubble, and we
yeah.
that's right. I feel the same way a lot about PR. And you were talking about being proactive earlier with your SEO and things, and that for me is what PR is. It means if you want to choose your own team, if you want to choose your own topics and get featured in the media, then just go and be proactive about it and go and suggest to a journalist who you think has probably heard 50 pitches on the same topic what it is you want to talk about. And you'll find in a lot of cases that they go, oh, that is really interesting. And I think our readers or our viewers would like it. All right. Now, I thought I would get you to hit me up with a little story of someone you've worked with. Have you got a juicy story that you can talk about? Normally it would be, I would encourage you to tell me a success story, but I don't care. Just go for it.
Well, I'll pick a most recent one. Someone randomly booked a coaching session off my site. I don't do much one-on-one coaching, and so I priced it abominably high so that people don't book it. Yeah, but someone booked it. A lady called Kate, who runs a Pilates studio here on the Central Coast, and she came ostensibly to talk about her SEO. But when we went through it, we realized that she actually had a real voice. It ties into your PR thing. She actually had a really contrary brand. There's real preconceptions around Pilates. It's for a certain type of people, a certain type of woman, and she's all about diversity and different sizes and different ages doing it. And she's got some strong opinions. And I was like, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know this because your site looks like everyone else's Pilates sites. It's like some pretty women and nice lycra doing stuff, but you've got such a voice, and it's a shame I can't hear that voice through the copy. There's no video on your homepage. You should have a podcast. You should do some video streaming.
Yeah.
I think, generally what I find is people often want to hide behind their business. I'm going to mention Nikki again.
I just had a conversation with someone just before this.
Yeah.
Who said, I want to change the world, but I don't want to put my face out there. No one's got to know. And I'm like, honey, you can't do it if you don't push yourself out there.
I know. At least your voice. I mean, I think there's ways to do it without face. Like, Nikki again from Bee Bangles, her Instagram stuff, you can tell who she is from the content she posts. You can tell her sense of humor and whatever. But I do want to see in person. She's hilarious and great. And I would love to see more of that. But people have to go at their own journey. God, I've been doing this for a long time. And if you talked to me back in 2015, I remember my first video. I've told this story before. I was a big admirer of Denise Duffield Thomas and how she made her videos. She's like a financial mentor. She's very glamorous, wears caftans, always looks beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Beautiful background. And I was like, I want to be like that. So I ordered some fake hair off the internet.
You did not.
Cat hair. And it was a boiling hot day in this office. I didn't have aircon. And I was quite overweight and exhausted because my son was about 5, and I tried to make a video. And this 60-second, 2-minute video took me all day. And I have it, but I also have all the outtakes of me just swearing. I think at one point I cried. I'll share a screen grab of you. And then, and now I look back at it, it doesn't look like me. What was I trying to do? I was just trying to be someone else. But you have to start somewhere.
Well, we do. And I think, but what you're saying feeds straight into the role models.
Yes.
That I talk about. And that is why we've got to go out there with no makeup, and we've got to go out there and show that, we're normal.
Yeah.
Because if everybody looks bloody glamorous and we can't all achieve that sort of perfection, then it just breeds discontent. It breeds, inferiority complexes and imposter syndrome and all the rest of it. But if they see someone like you and I having a chat, with maybe not looking absolutely perfect, they go, oh, maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all you want to do. Just show them that it's possible, that you don't have to be, incredibly well rehearsed and perfect at everything that you do.
Yeah, you don't have to look a certain way, but also you talk there about being normal, also being non-normal. Sharing your weird stuff and your quirks and your sense of humor. Of course, not everyone's going to love it, But good marketing is about being divisive. It's as important to get people not liking you as liking you.
Yes, there you go.
You know, that whole vanilla of trying to be a people pleaser to everyone, which we all start with, trying to be like, we've had this conversation before, you know, if we were 10 years younger, if we were, you know, whatever, we probably would have more followers, but I can't be that. So, you know,
No.
being your glorious odd self and sharing a bit of that is delightful as well.
Yeah, and it's very empowering, because even though it can be polarizing, and obviously there are going to be some people who go, oh my God, I can't be dealing with somebody that's that, you know, in that way.
Yes.
You just as likely are going to get people going, that's my kind of person, straight
Yeah.
away. You know, so you know, I often say to people, if you are going to build your influence or you are going to stand out, then you're going to have haters as many as you have lovers.
Yes.
What's a better way of
Lovers. I love it. No, it's so true though.
Um,
And I've certainly had my fair share of haters along the way. And someone the other day said, oh, I was talking about you to someone and saying how great you were. And she said, oh yeah, that Kate Toon, she's a bit much, isn't she? And I was like, thanks for telling me. You know, well, of course, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I don't like everybody.
No.
And sometimes I don't like people for no fair reason whatsoever. You know, they might be wearing a jumper that I go, ooh, and then I'm like, unfollow. You know, it's so stupid and subjective and, you know, weird. And we could have a good day and we love everybody. And the next day, those same people really great on us. It's weird. People say that business isn't a popularity contest, but it absolutely is.
Yeah.
You just have to pick your gang, you know, like
and know that there's going to be a whole other gang that maybe you're not going to fit into.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, it's not like school where we have all these little cliques, and if you're not in that one, then you're on the outer and you're on your own. You just build your own clique.
I think it kind of is a bit like school. To be honest, there is definitely like there's the cheerleader group and the jocks and the geeks and the people behind the bike shed smoking cigarettes. I think there is, but I think it's you enjoy your little gang. And you can cross over as well if you want to. But, you know, I think it is still a bit schoolyardy, to be honest, more than I would like it to be. A little bit. Can be sometimes.
Yeah, I guess I just mean that you don't have to be on the outer on your own.
No.
You can build your own little clique in your own.
Yeah, and this is it. The more you are yourself, the more you will attract your little gang before you know it, you know.
Yeah, right. Well, this has gone beautifully. Wow, I'm just bloody loving this, I have to say. All right, so now we're up to the last question. You've got 3 minutes to tell everyone how they can all work with you, and the best way to get in touch with you, I guess.
Well, look, I have a lot of different offerings, a lot of different sites, podcasts. So my winning saving grace is that I'm pretty good at SEO. So if you type Kate Toon into Google, as I always say, you'll either find a dentist in Ipswich in the UK, or you'll find me. And then you can kind of go to my site and find all my various offerings. I've got a lot of great freebies, personal branding workbooks and productivity checklists, SEO checklists, copywriting scripts, a lot of good freebies. So I recommend consuming all the freebies, seeing if you like my style, and then moving on to the
Okay, and what's your favorite social platform these days? Like, if someone wanted to reach out and message you, do you answer messages?
Oh gosh, of course I don't answer messages. I have a team of minions. Look,
if they want to talk to me,
I'm an email girl, so Kate@KateToon is my email. You know, if anyone messages me via Facebook, I'm like, can you send me an email? I can't, because there's so many. I'm running a big challenge, 2 big challenges at the moment.
Tell everyone quickly about that.
Yeah, so I've been running one called the SEO SOS, which got ridiculously oversubscribed. We had 970 people.
That is just insane. That is just such a testament to how amazing you are.
Well, it was great because there's no paid ads, so just a few like 1 week of paid ads, and then I got fed up of giving money to Zuckerberg. And then I'm doing another one which is running now. It's called Click Click Boom. So Google Click Click Boom Challenge or Click Click Boom Kate Toon. But anyway, the other day I let my socials sit, because I usually am on them all day. I let them sit, and by the end of the day I had 742 notifications across all the platforms, and it's overwhelming. So I try and funnel people into my inbox, and then I can delegate, respond. So that's how I work. I can't do
700 in a day. I have to say, I think it's pretty awful if I go out to a meeting for a couple of hours and come back and there's like 50 or 60. But
it's big. I love it. I mean, the thing is,
but it's also so-and-so saw this, liked this, commented, and
whatever. So you have to wade through.
Like, I don't need 5 notifications for one.
Yeah, and I have to wade through and find the comments, because I like to respond to every single comment. But
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, at the end of the day, I couldn't be as prolific on socials if I didn't love being on socials. So, you know, it's my game. Yeah. Hide in the corner. I must admit that night I did have a little bit of a curl up in the corner and make crying noises.
It's a bit much. All right, Kate, thank you so much. We've managed to almost hit the nail on the head.
Well done us. I'll see you
And
Friday.
hopefully people will get this through their feed over the next week. And next week I'm doing Joe Stanley. So
that'll be even better.
Thank you. Well, I don't think it'll be even better. I think it'll be also great. I just want to, amplify the amazing women I know. So
love that.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you everyone for listening. And I hope if you're watching this later in the week that you really enjoy it.